Hey, this is Frank, and today we're going to look at power on stalls. Actually, one particular type of stall. It's called an arrival stall. So it'll be a stall with some flaps and some RPM in there. So just sit back and enjoy the video, and thanks for flying with Frank. Welcome to Flying with Frank. I'm a 50-year-old commercial pilot. I started flying at the age of 16 with the Air Cadets. I flew gliders, and then at the age of 17, also with the Air Cadets, I ended up getting my private pilot license flying single-engine airplanes. At 19, I went to Sioux College and ended up getting my commercial, multi-engine, and instrument ratings there. And then the next year, by the age of 20, my brother and I started a commercial air service. We ended up owning 4 Cessna 172s like this one, and we did banner flying and traffic reporting all across Canada. At several points, we were the most prolific banner flying company in Canada, flying hundreds and hundreds of banners. And then we also provided traffic reports for hundreds of radio stations across Canada in those banner airplanes. So now I decided to get back into flying because I haven't flown much in the last few years. I've been flying just a few flights per year, but now I want to do it a little more. So I decided to go back and get checked out in a 172, and I decided to start this channel, not just to document my flying and my training, but also just to provide some helpful tips and some good advice and training as far as your flying goes, just to make you a better, more proficient, and more professional pilot. Even if you're not going to be a commercial pilot, you should fly like a pro. I'll be able to give you some advice and some tips that keep you alive and keep you flying safe. We'll look at some accidents and incidents along the way as well and do some commentary on that. And overall, just enjoy the joy of flying with me. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for flying with Frank. So the best place to start is to look at the diagrams that we have here from NASA on what a stall looks like. If you look at the top diagram of the wing there, you see an imaginary line called a chord. That's an imaginary line drawn from the leading to the trailing edge of the wing. And your angle of attack is the angle that's created by that line and the flight path. Flight path being the direction of the airplane moving through the air. And that angle of attack is where the airplane stalls. It stalls at that angle. And as you can see in the picture below, the airfoil below it is flying just fine. The airfoil above it is not. And if you look at the chart to the right, you can see that the airplane lift increases with angle of attack increasing up to this critical point where the airplane stalls and can no longer produce enough lift to keep the airplane flying. And that's where you get an abrupt decrease in lift. Your airplane nose pitches down and you're not flying any longer. Okay, so here's the bird's eye view that we've set up again. And again, this assumes that you've already performed your HAZEL checks, but I just wanted to go over them again with you because they're pretty important. So HAZEL stands for H, height. You want to make sure that you're at an appropriate altitude to perform a stall. Usually you want to be recovered from a stall by about 3,000 feet. So start around 3,500 or so and you should be fine. Area, you want to make sure that you're flying over a sparsely settled area. Security, you want to make sure all loose objects are secured, seatbelts are done up, doors and windows are secure. Your engine, you want to perform a cockpit check, make sure your engine is secured and configured properly for this stall. And then lastly, your lookout, you either want to perform 2 90-degree turns left and right, or you want to perform one 360-degree turn where you're checking your area. Now, because we have some power in this stall, we have to look at Newton's third law. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And here it is right here. You see the thrust diagram's a good one on the bottom there. If there's 1,000 pounds of thrust being pushed out of the back of that jet engine, then the equal and opposite force gives you 1,000 pounds worth of force in the other direction, which pulls the airplane forward. Now, that doesn't just relate to engine thrust. Basically, for every action, every force, there's an equal and opposite force. And that comes into play with torque in this kind of stall. So here with these fancy-dancy graphics, you see the direction that the engine and propeller are turning. So when you're viewing it from the cockpit, it's turning clockwise, and that's what's providing your thrust force. Now, because of that, it means you're getting an equal and opposite reaction, which is torque. So torque is wanting to turn the airplane to the left or turn it left wing down. Okay, so here we're getting ready to get into the stall. You can see the flap starting to come down. I'm dropping 20 degrees of flap, and then I'm just bringing the power back to 1700 RPM and starting to lift the nose. A stall horn comes on. You keep lifting the nose, you keep lifting the nose, and you're going to see how it's a bit more of a violent snap than with a power off stall. So here we go. The airplane stalls, and you can see the nose drops, and the left wing drops. Left wing drops because of torque. So to recover from this, you just go reduce the angle of attack, so you ease the control column forward while applying full power. You lift up the wing simply by using opposite rudder, full opposite rudder. So this is full right rudder to stop that wing from dropping. And it feels a little awkward because you're kind of push sideways in your seat when you go full opposite rudder, but it feels really great when that wing stops dropping and becomes level again, and then you recover as you would a normal stall. So your airspeed indicator becomes primary for pitch. You pitch the nose up as the airplane begins to increase its speed. You get positive rate at VX, so best angle of climb. You bring your flaps up to 10 or 1 notch, and then continue accelerating, continue with that rate of climb, positive, and you bring up the flaps and you clean up the airplane and continue to climb out, and you've recovered. Okay, so now I'm going to play the full clip for you again, this time with the real audio so that you can hear the engine roaring to life. And I just want you to look at one particular area right here. I want you to look at the ailerons in this whole recovery, and you'll see that they are rock solid. The ailerons don't move at all, and that's because you don't want to ever try to pick up a wing or level your wings when you're in a stall condition by using the ailerons or the control columns. Your wing's already stalled, so they're going to be ineffective, and what they could do is actually worsen your stall condition and maybe throw you into an incipient spin. So have a look right here at these ailerons and see how they do not move at all. They can completely remain neutral during the whole procedure. There's just something I find fascinating about the roar of an engine, the sound of an engine from outside the airplane when you're going from zero or low power up to full power. That's why I love leaving that audio in there. So that's it for this video. That is the arrival stall. And I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video. And just remember, if your flight instructor gives you any different procedures, you follow those procedures. You don't go by what I've got in this video here. In the link in the description below, I'll put a couple links for FAA and Transport Canada stall recovery procedures so you can read up on those and then form your own safe practices. So thanks again for flying with Frank.